Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Nameless Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about the movie.
Oh, me? Oh, okay. Well, today we're going to be talking about the movie American Made, directed by Doug Liman.
Starring Tom Cruise.
That's it. Alright, so, I guess we'll get right into it. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I want to call it an American classic, if I will. The reason being is because it's a movie set in the 80s, or like around that time.
70s, 80s.
70s, 80s kind of thing. And it's I don't think I have any other way to describe it. It was one of those movies where you see it and it's just like, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
you know. Rex, do you have anything to...
Now, when you say American classic, are you just talking like the feel of the film, or are you saying now that this is going to be a classic that everyone's going to remember?
I think it was the feel. I'm not gonna say that this is a film that everybody's gonna remember, just because it wasn't. I don't think it was anything groundbreaking or like something that we can look back and was like, yeah, that was something. I'm not gonna say that. I think it was just the feel of it made it feel like an American classic kind of movie, and it might have been the combination of film work with the acting and just the general setting of the film that made it feel that way. Like we said earlier, it was set in like the 70s, 80s, and I think it was really cool that the filming that they did, or like the type of shots that they got in the film, were very similar to the ones you would have gotten back in the day. And so I think that was a big part of that.
I don't think any shot in particular in this movie I had seen in the 80s films, so I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that.
Not okay, so maybe I said shot. Okay, I did say shot. I mean like the style of shooting, as in like what they did, the things that you were saying that you did not like.
Well, I mean, personally, I just didn't like the camera work, or rather the stylistic choice that they chose to go with in this movie. But I mean, it's a stylistic choice. It fits the movie. I just wish that it wasn't, shows. I mean, even in a documentary style, they could have had way cleaner images than what they got. There's a lot of noise and grain and film grain, and I mean, clearly they were all just aiming for that. But it's not something that I personally like look at a movie and be like, oh my goodness, camera work. But then again, this movie isn't about the camera work. This movie is about an American man who chooses to basically make the most out of what he can do already in his life.
Right. So you didn't like the style of camera work that they chose. I liked it because it made me feel like I was watching a movie that was done in the 80s. So that's why I like it.
To me, it felt more like a documentary, but like, narrative documentary. So it was...
Well, I mean, I could see why it would have felt like a documentary because of what they did as far as like the character coming back to kind of explain what was going on in that point of his life. However, outside of that, it also felt kind of like, okay, this is a movie. Like if I didn't know any better, I would have thought, okay, this movie was actually filmed in the 80s.
Yeah, that's definitely like it's the way it looks and everything. It looks like it could have been from the 80s. Like it's a vintage style kind of film. Like kind of throwback. Which I like this one because most throwback films always throw like not they throw back like old items. Like the most they did was like, oh, it was like an 82 Cadillac. Like that's all they did. They're not like, here's this type of Coke or this type of Pepsi, like Back to the Future, like, oh, like classic Coke. Or he's like, let me get. I don't even know. They don't throw back old items, and they don't care to, except for the car.
Right.
And that's like the one instant in the whole movie. They don't even say what type of plane is in the film.
Yeah, they don't.
I know what type of like. I guess I can't name it off the top of my head, but
right.
like I've seen it before. It's in the 80s. Anything drug related from the 80s or 90s, this is the plane. man, they showcase it. Like, this is what people use.
Right. So, good thing you mentioned drugs. Because now we can talk about kind of like what the movie was about.
Yeah.
The movie was pretty much based on the war on drugs. There we go.
Yeah.
So that was a big part of the film and a big motive for the like actions and like what happened in the film and whatnot.
It starts off with him just wanting to earn extra money for his family because I guess being a regular pilot is not paying him enough at all. And then he gets into, hey, see, you're a really great pilot. We'd like you to take some photos for us. And he's like, I guess he's taking the best photos they've ever seen. He's the one who's closest to the ground. He's the one who get the most shots. He's willing to risk his life for this. For no, like, even later on, like, he keeps saying, like, oh, this is more dangerous, even though it's the same kind of stuff he was doing before. I mean, here, he's flying into artillery ranges and, like...
Right. Well, I think that part, like, because it was, like, it...
But he's getting a thrill of it, though.
Right.
Like, he's going home to his wife.
And, yeah. So, I think that with that, I saw a build-up in, like, how things kind of kept getting out of hand.
Yeah.
And so I like that. Because even though at first, yeah, he's getting, like, shot at when he's taking the pictures and stuff like that, I don't think he really ever was in any, like, excessive danger or, like, or anything like that. Or, as far as you can go without, while being shot at. But, I think that later on we see that things start getting out of hand and start getting out of control. And I think that they developed that well. They made that a smooth transition. And it played very nicely, I think.
Like, it gets to the point where it's so out of hand where they're just like, let's burn Barry. We're just burning him. Get rid of everything about this guy. Like, that's how out of hand it got. Right. Like, we're burning him from our, like, get rid of anything about him. Yeah. That's, like, it's crazy. Like,
it was a very crazy, but that was like more towards, we see that more towards the end and everything like that, where now everybody's kind of like almost turning against him.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because, the good people were like, oh yeah, no, we're just going to throw you away. And then because of that, he got in trouble with, the bad ones that, would otherwise have helped him and whatnot. So it was a very big setup, I think. And so they did play him very hard.
Okay, and then you gotta think also, with this being a true story, wonder how many other stories that are similar that are untold. Like, I guess let's assume that, because I guess he's working with 5 pilots, and it's the initial 5 pilots. Like, he says who they all are, everything. But then you find out one guy went to jail, the one who was caught on the pictures with him.
Right.
That the president showed. Like, I guess the White House just showed everything. But you also, those other 3 pilots, whether they crashed their planes trying to take off from a field with too much weight, or they were killed by the cartel because obviously they're working with Tom Cruise, like his Barry Beal or Barry Beal, Barry Seal.
Barry Seal.
Yeah, Barry Seal. Or who knows? Maybe they're just locked up, solitary. Before Guantanamo. What's it called? Guantanamo Bay. Yeah. Like, who knows what happened to those other 3? They don't say, because they're like, we don't know what happened to them.
Right. Yeah, it does say they were never seen after that. Like, it was one of those things.
They're just off the grid now.
Exactly. It was they disappeared, and the rest is up to your imagination. Who knows what could have happened. But as far as story, I think also the introduction of those characters I thought was nice. Obviously it happened in real life, but I thought those characters were as well. Those were good characters as well. Now, one character that I did like, it was just kind of like he was there for only one reason and one reason only, I think, and it was the wife's brother, JB. Yeah, like he was only there just to like demonstrate that the cartel was not playing around, and if they needed something done, they were not willing to go to the extremes to do it. Which, was good, because later on in the film we see that yet again. And I think it was just kind of like a not yeah, kind of like a foreshadowing kind of thing, you know? Like, it was just kind of like, this is the future, pretty
Because
much.
even though these guys are like stuck in Colombia and Nicaragua, like all these like South, like, or I guess Central American countries, they're able to get to the United States however they want and
Yeah.
do what they want. Like, they get
Exactly.
their job done.
Yeah.
Like, send their hitman wherever.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
get this done, and we're gonna get this done for you. Like, they get this done however they want. And
Yeah.
It's great.
Which is true. Which is because I don't know if you guys have seen like some of the shows on Netflix like Narcos or I know there's another show that is based on Pablo Escobar, which is called Pablo Escobar. It's also on Netflix, by the way. It really does talk about how they did whatever they wanted to do,
Yeah.
and that was translated well in the film because we see how even in their first encounter with the police,
Yeah.
they just kind of like, blew it off. We're like, that's nothing. It's whatever.
Yeah.
And so,
Like tranquilo.
yeah, they were just like, oh, no, it's whatever. Just stay calm.
Just walk with us.
And they just kind of like literally walk out and they're like, yeah, it's, look, no handcuffs, whatever. And so I think that was well translated in the film. And historically, it was spot on.
Yeah, I think a lot of, especially like that's always one part of like history, like I guess world history that I'm in, like really, like I really like getting into is like Narcos and like the 80s and 90s like drug trade
Mm.
and like Pablo Escobar, like real into him, read about him a lot, and like the way they kind of just went about him in the film, they showed his development over time of everyone who's betrayed him over time. They didn't say like necessarily who,
Right.
but they went across the path of like, hey, he's kind of going crazy over here. Like,
Right.
we gotta do a little more for him. We gotta do more for this cartel. I think it's one where he's like, can anyone be trusted?
Right.
Then he gets like,
Yeah. No, because and it was that thing where it's just like, yeah, they did mention at some point like, yeah, Pablo's freaking out, he's gone crazy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so at that point, he's like, you see a little bit of background on that, not too much because obviously you don't want to take the focus off of like the main character or
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's character, but they did mention that I think they did it well, and it was like it wasn't like it didn't take away from the story.
Yeah.
all right. So I mean, I brought it up to Rex earlier. One thing I really liked, because I've seen it in multiple movies, I've seen it in multiple TV shows about the 80s drug trade, is the airplane scene going into the neighborhood. That is, oh my gosh, I love it. It's about a drug smuggler. I guess it was obviously about Barry Seal. I didn't know it was about him. I never heard about him until this film, but he crashes a plane to try and get away from the DA into a neighborhood, just a suburban neighborhood, and he's covered in cocaine. He just runs for it. Like it's a real event. I've seen it multiple times. I've read about it. I've like seen it. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic.
Right.
And I guess to not find out, I guess exactly who did it, but to see it again, but like
Just kind of like,
more realistic. Because I mean, I guess he did these videotapes about all of these events, like when this all was unfolding, and it is fantastic knowing that like. I love it.
No, I got you. I got
like
you.
It's,
No, it was really interesting just because you see a movie and you're like, oh, okay, I'm seeing this movie and things are happening in the movie, but then it's a whole different feeling whenever you realize this actually happened. Like, this was not just something that came out of somebody's imagination and like they just made a film about it. No, like this actually took place in history, and at some point in time these things were actually going on. So to see that, it was actually really cool. And I think it's kind of wild that somebody would do that, like just kind of like, because obviously, he did whatever he could to survive.
Yeah.
So that's obviously why he did it. So, that he had his motives and whatnot. But it's still kind of like surreal just to think about how that
yeah.
was something that actually
I
took
love
place.
how like throughout the whole moment, like he still felt like just I mentioned it to you guys before, but like he still felt like the dad character, like just like I'm a good guy. It's just you never saw me. Bye.
Right. He did kind of feel like that in that sense. Which I don't know if that was just Tom Cruise, like, you know, making the character his own, or if it was like actually how the character was. I think I think in that sense I would want to find out a little bit more about the actual person, like Barry. Yeah, like I would want to find out more about him, just to see if the way Tom Cruise interpreted his character was like accurate.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I just love the way that he was portrayed though, because like there was never that one moment like, oh my god, things are going crazy. I gotta fix this. I gotta make my life great. And it's just like, oh, okay, something bad happened. Well, I suppose I should fix it. You know.
Well, there was a few moments where he was just kind of like, he didn't publicly freak out, but it was just kind of like he had his moments where he was like, oh man, like what am I gonna do? And yeah, like, but he, you know, throughout the film, yeah, he did stay mostly calm, although there was all this crazy stuff going on. But I think he did have his small freakouts, and it was just like, for example, when he locked himself in that room afterwards, and he's just kind of like, you know, I need my time. I need to like take this all in. So
the guy keeps yelling at him from
right,
the
yeah,
side,
just
and
he was like, ah.
he was like, hey, I know what I'm saying.
Right, just chill. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, I mean, and
Okay, boss.
yeah, it was just like, oh yeah, sure, okay, I'll trust you on this one. Like, on the contrary of his wife did not trust him at all. Like, it was just like
from the
no.
beginning to the end, like at the beginning, he's like, do you trust me? No.
No.
And then like towards the end, do you trust me?
No. Like, it's like,
Like,
what
are you-
part of that did you not understand?
Like over the course, I mean, I guess this takes place over the course of like 8 years, or I guess in a total like 9 or 10 years.
Right.
Just about
It's
9 or
like
10 years.
70. It started
Like
at 77.
Yeah.
77 to like 86.
Yeah.
And so,
And like over the course from I guess like 77 to 85, she just was like, I don't trust you.
but I did like that the wife was just kind of like she too got caught up in it all. Like it was just kind of
Like
like
the money of it.
yeah, like it's very easy for somebody to get caught up in all that stuff when you're seeing everything coming the way it was. And you know, I think also we saw that was part of the reason why things started going bad, was because of everything that was coming in.
Yeah.
And so that was a really big factor, the fact that like there was too much coming in, and for an average person all of a sudden to just have all of this, it's like too much. It's just too much. And I think we see that even nowadays with like celebrities and stuff like that, where like child celebrities will, you know, they might not have anything, and then from like day and night it's just like, oh wow, I have the world. And it's just like it can very easily be they can very easily be like just kind of like overwhelmed. And so it was a very relatable movie in that sense as well.
Like this movie altogether, like I was saying, this is the first Tom Cruise movie I think I've actually like fully enjoyed from like start to finish. Like it is one of the first ones I think I have like 100% enjoyed. Like I can't think of anything bad about it that I just didn't like.
Nice.
No, I was even thinking like this is one I think like personally one of my top films of my 2017 for me. Like just the way this played out, like every year there's those few movies that you just completely enjoy, and this is one of them. Like there's not too many movies I would personally buy, but this is one of them. Like I would buy this, and that's
really
always a plus to think about.
I really enjoyed this movie, but I don't think I'm gonna remember it like in a couple of years from now.
Cause like last year, I mean you don't, cause the movies I do buy, I'm not necessarily gonna remember it. I see it, I have the DVD, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna watch this, cause this is a movie I feel like I can watch anytime.
Right, like
I don't have to be in the mood for it. I'm just like, I'm gonna watch this. Like, why not?
like if you have nothing else
like
to
the
do,
same
you can
thing-
just sit down and watch the movie kind of thing.
Whether you're trying to find a movie to watch or you have nothing else to do, like you can just pop it in. Like, it's just one of those kind of movies.
I agree.
I feel like it's
you don't
gonna
have to,
have
like-
the same feeling as Blow though for me. Like I forgot Blow even existed until I saw this movie. It's like, hey, wait, there's a movie called Blow that was kind of a similar story. And
It's
it's
just like drug trade. I mean, that's
it's until the next major drug trafficking movie comes out, it'll be like, hey, there's a movie called American Made that I saw. I kind of enjoyed it.
yeah, but it's like you don't even have to be in the mood for this type of movie. Like there's so many movies I've tried to watch over the years that I haven't seen, and so many that I have seen. Like like The Mechanist, like Christian Bale, where I'm like, you have to be in the mood for it. You have to be in the mood for like Guardians of the Galaxy or something. You can't just
What? I don't believe that.
like I'm just saying in general. Like I'm never just like I have it on DVD, and I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna watch this right now. Like why not? I have to be in the mood to watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
But Marvel's a whole nother story.
Well, I mean, all together, I think any movie you just gotta be willing. Like the other day, I had Money Monster, and that's another one that's from this list. I saw that I'm like, oh crap, I forgot I had this movie. I'm gonna watch this right now, just because I saw that I had it. I'm like, yes, this is one I want to watch.
Okay.
Like I just looked up. I'm gonna watch this, and that's this type of movie for me. Like this, it's just like crap. I'm watching this now, and I think that's what movies strive to do. Like you want to just go
To
ahead
just
and watch
watch it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would watch this like just not back to back, but like there's only you can't watch like so many movies just back to back to back to back. Like
Right, yeah.
if you just had a 24-hour marathon of one movie, I wouldn't.
You're
pick
gonna get
this.
sick of it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not gonna pick this one, but you just pick it up and watch it anytime.
Gotcha. All right. So just to recap, I mean, let's start over here with the recap since we'll let you continue on. But it's like, what do you think about cinematography, work, story, and then just overall?
I like the camera work. Like I thought it really fit this film. Whether we go from like the lighting, or sometimes it was a little dark, sometimes it was light, it was grainy. Like it fit the film. It was vintage. Like even the credits start out as kind of like the vintage style like format, and that was good. Then you get over to the acting. I like the acting. I like the directing style of it all. I like the way the characters moved around each other. Like they floated together real nice. And
Okay.
just overall, this film like it's a great it's a great film. Like I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Rex.
I mean, the cinematography for myself. I mean, it's just documentary style. I'm pretty sure there are some cool, unique things like shooting the planes and all that stuff. But otherwise, I wasn't really a big fan of the whole grainy look. Once again, I will reiterate that I get the reason why it was done. I understand story-wise why they chose to go that route. But personally, I think the story could have been told without it. But I mean, that could be said for almost any other movie.
Okay. And what did you think just of the storyline and then overall?
The story, I mean, it was an interesting piece of, his life. Someone who I didn't know about. And it makes me wonder how much of it is true, how much is maybe a little bit too intensely fabricated. It makes me kind of want to look into this guy and just see what that was all about, because Tom Cruise playing this guy definitely made him seem like a really fun character.
And I guess the fabrication part, though, I mean, this film shows you that there's a box of videotapes with his. I mean, it's obviously just his side of the story. I mean, a lot of these drug cartel characters have been killed. Obviously, CIA agents are not going to go forward like, hey, let's talk about this.
Right.
But he did record all of this, and it's obviously from his perspective, but that's why it's so. I think that's why it works, because it's from his perspective. These drug cartels, like, they were friends, they hung out together, but also they just, at some point, they didn't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it works. Like, it works from his perspective, and that's what the story's being told from his perspective, and it flows.
Okay, definitely. And I'll just finish off with my little 2 cents. I think that the camera. I like the camera work. I like that it was shot the way it was. Even with the grain, there was a few parts where I thought, yes, they could have had probably done better with camera work. Just because the focus either was like off or things like that. But it was so minimal that it didn't really bother me too much. And so that's that on camera work. A storyline, I like the way it was told. I think it was very interesting. We got some good insight on the character, on like his life and how everything and why everything turned out the way it did. So I think they told the story well, as assuming that everything is true and that nothing was blown too much out of proportion. And overall, I think again it was a really good movie, very enjoyable. I think it'd be one to, like you said, just kind of like have, and then like for one of those occasions where you're like, yeah, I'll watch this kind of thing. So overall, I think it was a good movie. I would recommend it. Go watch it. Or if you already have watched it, I don't know. That's why you're watching this video, I guess. So, yeah, I think I give it a thumbs up. And
Thumbs up.
that is my honest opinion. All right, guys. So that was it for this episode of Nameless Reviews. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more videos. We'll see you again next week.